Friday, everybody. Thank you all for being here, for joining us for this other Chelsea Film Festival Talks TV series today. My name is Ingrid Jean-Baptiste. I'm the founder and director of the Chelsea Film Festival in New York City that will celebrate its 8th annual edition this fall from October 15th to the 18th. And this is our 9th episode of CFF Talks TV series that is supposed to be every Friday at noon, but I know we took a little break here and there during this quarantine because we needed it. But thank you for joining us today. I have Emma here who has been co-hosted this show wonderfully. I can't thank her enough. And today we are honored to welcome the stars and the director of Anne with an E. This is an amazing show on Netflix. If you haven't seen it, it's based on the 1908 novel Anne of Green Gables. I have to say this is part 2 because all of you out there have demanded that we host another episode of this interviews. So thank you for being so insistent, and we actually made sure that you have another series, I would say, of speakers today. And we have a little surprise at the end, so please stay until the end. There will be some questions that we will take from the chat box in the Zoom room. So you will be able to send your questions in time, not right now, but towards the end, half part of the show. And for those who are on Facebook, you can send your questions on the comment section. I would like to welcome our first guest. His name is Paul Fox. He is joining us from Los Angeles. He's the director of Anne with an E, and he's a filmmaker who has a very impressive array of award-winning feature film, music videos, short films, and TV productions, such as, of course, Anne with an E, but also Schitt's Creek, for which he won a Canadian Screen Award for Best Direction in a Comedy Program. So congratulations on that, and thank you for joining us, Paul, today. Our next guest is AJ, Aymeric Jett Montaz. He is best known for bringing to life the beloved French farmhand Jerry Baynard in Anne with an E, and he is in Montreal right now. Thank you for joining us.
No problem. Thanks, sir.
And last but not least, Dalila, Bela, who is in Los Angeles, and everybody knows her, of course. She plays Diana Barry. She's an actress and also singer. And her work has been seen and recognized by more than a dozen award nominations and wins. So including also the CSA, the Canadian Screen Awards. So congratulations on your amazing career. I would like to introduce, and I know maybe she needs no introduction anymore because everybody knows Emma Bell, who's my co-host. She will be leading the conversation and ask all these questions to our guest. She's an actress, she's a writer, she's also a filmmaker, and you've seen her in The Walking Dead, in Dallas, in the 5th installment of the Final Destination series. And now, as I said, she's also a filmmaker, and her most recent work is called Between the Pines, that has won multiple awards across different film festivals across the country, and also at the Chelsea Film Festival last year, where she won Best Short Film Award. So thank you all so much for coming on today. I know it's very early in Los Angeles, so I appreciate your time to give us this opportunity to speak with our amazing audience that is also joining from the Philippines, from Korea, from a lot of different places. So I really appreciate your effort to join us this morning, and thank you to all our audience members for being here. I'm going to hand it over to Emma now.
Hello and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're coming in from across the world, as Ingrid said. We're so excited to be doing this part 2 of Anne with an E, and that's all because of all you fans. You guys were just so adamant about it. It really made our day to see how beloved the show is and how beloved all you guys are. So thank you all for coming on. Dalila, it's so nice to see you again. We're really excited about having you on here and the special treat we get to have a little later. And welcome AJ and Paul. So nice to have you both on as well. So what's so great about having AJ and Dalila on right now is we should just focus on the obvious, which is the romance between you guys on the show was so touching and heartwarming. So I kind of just wanted to hear from you guys, like, what was that experience like? I mean, you're both so young. You're such young, and this was a few years ago, I'm assuming. So, you know, you were even younger then. How was that? I can tell you from experience, like, everyone always thinks like shooting romantic scenes must be so romantic, but really it's like, in my opinion, some of the most awkward, uncomfortable, even if you know and love that person and they're your friends, whatever, it can still be kind of weird and to be that intimate. So how was that experience for both of you guys, shooting those scenes and falling in love with each other's characters?
Well, okay, you can start.
You go first.
Okay, I think, well, you know, me and Dalila are really good friends in real life. So I think that it wasn't as awkward as someone who was a stranger, let's say. We knew that it was our job. It was nothing, you know, it's a character that we're playing. I think that our romance scenes were a lot of fun to film. It was funny to film, to be honest. We had a lot of laughs. Yeah, and I think it was my first romance scene in any show or TV thing. So that was something that was checked from the list, and something that's cool.
Yeah, I've done a couple before going on Anne, and before doing the ones in between Diana and Jerry. And yeah, I can attest to the fact that it is rather awkward, especially because it's like, no, you gotta tilt your head this way, you gotta do it like that, you gotta make sure your hair's not in your face. But yeah, AJ is an amazing coworker, and like you said, we're both really good friends in real life. So yeah, we had fun. Just usually more often than not, they would call cut, and we'd both just start laughing.
It was even. I think it was funnier when they'd be like, okay, maybe just a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And they like to do it like multiple times.
Like kiss for like a little longer, and it's like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you end up like counting in your head. You're like, one.
Yeah.
It's like it's so not romantic.
Yeah.
It's nice when you can diffuse this. What Paul?
I was saying I directed several of those scenes, and I thought both Dalila and AJ were quite comfortable with them. I think the one scene that Dalila was the least comfortable with was when she had to actually be mean to Jerry, where I said that you get to my point where
Paul.
stop talking, just kiss.
Oh my gosh, that's so sweet. I love that. Yeah. So Paul,
it's not in your heart to be dismissive of him.
No, well, that kind of goes with the character, I think, right? Diana is also a very like sweet, loving person who doesn't, you know, likes the underdog and when other people don't. So Paul, how was it then for you? Like, I mean, as a director, you've probably directed all kinds of, you know, different kinds of scenes and people of different ages and et cetera, et cetera. How is it directing, you know, a cast where most of the cast are young and having to kind of deal with these more adult concepts in some cases?
Well, this cast, I mean, despite their youth, they're very game. I mean, I think maybe even because of their youth, right? I think that there's an enthusiasm and a kind of willing to try on anything, which sort of makes my job easier. But I thought in all of those scenes, there was never. I've had much more reticent adult actors in similar situations.
Yeah, right.
And they were very comfortable with each other, and like they said, they were having fun with it, lots of laughs, and really committed to it.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, love is fun, so you might as well have fun while you're shooting those scenes. And I find it's always nice when you can laugh as soon as they yell cut and just diffuse if there was any uncomfortability. AJ, your character goes through so many cool arcs on this show, and the last time I was talking to Dalila about kind of her character's journey, I'd love to hear your perspective on Jerry and his journey. I found, you know, him wanting to learn how to be more literate, just so touching and heartwarming. And you see him kind of go through all these stages and really find a self-confidence in himself. How is that for you as well?
You know, in the first season, we didn't know much of Jerry. Anne was afraid that Jerry would take his place, or her place, sorry. So she didn't feel comfortable with him being around, you know. But I think over time, over the second season, Anne and Jerry's relationship got closer, and she even, you know, kissed Jerry on the cheeks to thank him for fighting the bad guys in previously. And I think, you know, it's pretty cool that towards the third season we actually got to see, to see what Jerry was going through with his family, and we got to see how small his house is, and just the kind of, you know, he obviously didn't have that much money, so we got to see that, and afterwards a love story, which is really cool. So yeah, no, I'm very happy about how that went. Yeah.
Yeah, and it seems like you grew alongside him, you know what I mean? Because when did you guys start shooting that? How old were you when you guys started shooting the show?
I was 11, I think.
You were 11?
I think so, close to that, yeah.
Oh
yeah.
my God. Wow.
Physically as well. I don't know how many inches you grew over the course of the 3 seasons.
I was barely 5'3". Yeah, I was barely 5'3" when we first started filming season 1. And I remember at one point in season 2, Amy Beth she was like a little bit taller than me. And then towards the third season, she was like, AJ, what? Like, I just grew crazy. Now I'm 6 feet. I'm almost 6'1".
Wow. Yeah, you look very long in your Zoom video right now.
Yeah, no.
Wow, that's so crazy. Those gross words. You watch, you know, kids on shows, and I feel like that happens a lot. You know, you see them as like a very small person, and then the next season they come back and you're like, holy crap, what hormones did they take? And also your fans might be, at least I was, so whatever, but like shocked to hear that you don't have that accent.
Yeah, well, I'm from Montreal. So around here, yes, a lot of my friends who do speak English and French, they do have a little bit of an accent in English, and so do I, because I speak French every day. So my accent kind of switches on and off. But I had to get a dialect coach for the show. It was definitely something that was cool. But I knew how to do the accent because, like I said, most of my friends here had an accent. You can still hear that I have an accent. It's just not as much as how much I applied it in the show.
It's just so impressive to me to know that you were 11 years old and were figuring out how to do an accent. That's incredible.
I mean, I've loved acting for a very long time. So, well, not for that long actually, since I was like six years old. So not that long if you compare it to some people who started even earlier.
Yeah, that's pretty young. That's a young age to know what you want to do. That's awesome.
Yeah, definitely. If it works out and if everything goes well, obviously we can't hope. Well, I mean, all I can do is hope that everything goes well. But I mean, we never know, eh? So I mean, if the door's there, then I'll definitely take it, and it's something that I'd like to do, obviously, until forever. But we'll see.
I have a good feeling about that door. I think you're gonna have a very long and lustrous career.
Oh, thank you so much.
And Dalila, I wanted to know more from you too. Like, I know we talked about it a little bit, but we may have new fans in the room. So just to kind of go over that experience as well of Diana's growth, and like, again, her coming to terms with who she actually is in this world that's very crafted around her, from the pressures of society and the pressures of her parents. And in a lot of ways, although kids don't have the same kind of structure as they did back in the early, turn of the century, in a lot of ways there's similar pressures today on kids too, to like fit into a group, or be part of this clique, or don't go out with that person because they're from the wrong neighborhood or whatever. So how was that for you, like being able to step into her shoes, obviously being a much more modern girl, but stepping into this woman's shoes and kind of like finding her individuality?
Yeah, it was very fascinating, and I really liked it because Diana in season 1 especially, she starts off as very like obedient, puts her head down. She conforms to what her parents want from her, what society wishes for her, and just kind of like, you sit still, look pretty, be seen but not heard, be a good daughter, good wife, good mother. That was her kind of her world in season 1. She didn't really think about maybe there's something else I can do. But then with the arrival of Anne in season 1, and then the events that occur with Aunt Josephine in season 2, Diana, her mind is then open to, no, you don't have to just do what society expects of you, which applies both to the 1800s and to modern day. You don't have to do just what people tell you, like, oh no, you're just a pretty face, that's all you'll ever be. Oh, you're smart, that's all you'll ever be. Oh, you're whatever. It's like, no, you can be whatever you want to be. You can do whatever you want to do. And that's something that Diana began to realize in season 2 and began to explore even in season 3, trying to find her own individuality of what she wants to be, who she wants to be. Who is Diana Barry? Is she the girl that her parents want her to be, or maybe she's something different? Because she realizes that there's so many paths for her, not just the one that is set before her, and she's just gotta reach out and take it. You just gotta go for it. And showing that arc from her going from being a kind of conforming, obedient, kind of head down kind of girl to a girl who's striving for her individuality and standing up for herself and the people that she loved, and saying, no, this is me, this is who I want to be, I matter, my opinion matters, my desires and my wants matter, and you were going to listen. That I find was a lot of fun to portray.
Yeah, no, it's one of the reasons why that show is, I think, so beloved by everybody, is that all of the characters, whether they be young or old, older, not old, whether they be, they're all kind of going through these. The arrival of Anne, is the impetus for all of this really wonderful change in all these people's lives, and a lot of liberation and freedom from certain things that have held them back, or in a way, like, she allows them all to find out who they truly are. And that's such a great message for everybody. And I think right now, especially what you just said, is really, really important for people too, because of the kind of very divided world we live in, and it becomes very like, pick your side, whose side are you on? It's nice to have, shows out there that that depict what you just said. Basically, you said it so perfectly. So in the shooting of all this, Paul, you shot how many episodes? You directed like 7 or 8 episodes?
7 episodes over the 3 seasons, yeah.
Over the 3 seasons. It's so cool when you have a director who comes back that many times, right? Because it's like, a lot of times on TV shows, you switch it up, or like every episode is a new director. But when you really get to bond with a director, which it feels like you guys all did with Paul, and Paul, you being able to like be there for so many of those episodes, how was that for you to be able to like watch the growth of all these actors and the show, etc.?
Well, that's a big gratifying part, like you said, of being a regular recurring director, is you see the cast grow. The scripts kind of got, I think, more richer and deeper as we progressed. I think it was a really satisfying role to be a part of. It's, I think, my favorite show to have directed. I mean, I think I love the period element of it. So sort of directorially, there's a real cinematic element doing period stuff. The scripts and the characters were really rich, and and just watching, as you say, watching those characters develop. And it's nice that they didn't sort of try and like some shows where it's a young cast and they try and keep them the same age for several seasons. Here we sort of allowed the characters to grow as the actors did, and sort of deal with situations that people moving into their teenage years deal with, and sort of grow with them and see them, not just physically, but emotionally grow,
right,
and learn. So no, it's a very gratifying show to work on in that way.
Now, did you were you able to, as a director, have was it like kind of a collaborative sort of venture creatively? Because I know some shows are, directors pop in and pop out, and some shows they really like to work with directors and their ideas and stuff like that. Were you able to like be able to voice some creative choices?
Very much so. Moira Wally Beckett, who is the sort of creator of the show, she really likes directors to direct. I mean, it's funny. I'll go onto some TV shows, and at the beginning they're like, "We really want this show to feel cinematic and not like television," and then 2 days in, they're like, "Where's all the standard coverage? Where are the close-ups?"
Yeah.
And that's not the case with Moira. She really wants. If she says she wants it to look like a movie, it feels cinematic and feel like a Jane Campion movie or whatever we were sort of going for. That's we were given a lot of reign as directors, a lot of freedom, certainly pictorially to how to envision it.
Yeah, I think you can see that. I mean, it is one of, I think, the most beautifully shot shows. I mean, just the landscape is incredible. Using Canada, that you guys actually shot in Prince Edward Island, or in and around that area.
Yeah.
Some scenes were shot in Prince Edward Island, but the majority of them were shot in Toronto, Canada, actually.
And also Toronto. I mean, it's like it's a whole nother character, the world, the naturalistic world that you guys all live in. And it's great because Anne sees things so romantically, and she's such a lover of nature. And you really get that visually through how Paul, you guys all kind of shot it. And there's these just incredibly beautiful scenes, like when Anne's walking through the field and there's all these butterflies and one lands on her head, and it's just, you don't get to see a lot of TV shows that allow the creatives to take those kinds of liberties. They're sort of like, oh, let's cut that 10 seconds out. We don't need it. But I don't know, for me, especially right now in this quarantine, it's just like such a lovely escape to be able to dive into the world. So thank you, Paul, for being able to like keep that going, because it was awesome.
Yeah, it's those great things like the butterflies. I mean, that wasn't my episode, but there were things throughout all of the seasons that were like that, and I think we were all given permission to bring those sort of grace notes to it, and not just sort of cut to the chase all the time.
And would that be a sort of thing that would happen organically? Like on the day, you might walk by and be like, that tree is in full bloom. Let's just go over there and have it rain down on her for whatever. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, or were those out?
Like some of those things, when we're out looking at the locations, looking around, we'd see something and say, let's shoot that, or there's a beautiful tree, or let's do that. And then, yeah, absolutely. Other days you'll be there and you're not expecting rain. It'll start to rain, or a certain cloud formation will move in, or light will hit the side of a barn in a certain way, and you'll just be like, you know what? You guys stand over there instead of where we thought we were going to stand, and let's take advantage of that beautiful, sun hitting the side of the barn. So you sort of do both. You plan for it, and then you allow yourself the opportunity to change your mind on a dime depending on what the elements are giving you.
That's awesome. That's basically like what makes great filmmaking. It's being structured and then flexible and organic in the moment. Okay, so I want to go around and hear from all of you guys on this next one, which is, what is one of your like favorite behind the scenes memories from shooting? Because I'm sure you have. I know that Amy, Beth talked about it last time with some of the crazy winter scenes you guys had to do, and but like I'd love to know more about like some of your favorite behind the scenes, or just scenes to shoot. You know what I'm saying? I stumped you.
Okay, I guess I'll go first. I'll go first. It's really hard to like remember all the moments offset. I remember a few of them. Blooper wise, I remember one of them where it was me and Amy Beth in a carriage. I think it was close to one of the scenes where I was singing. And when I had to get out of the carriage, I just fell face first in the mud out of the carriage because my boot, there was the toe or the heel of the shoe, it got stuck on the carriage, and I just fell straight first and head first in the mud and a little bit of snow, which was good, not too much to get my outfit muddy, but I mean we laughed it out. But yeah, no, that was definitely something that I'll remember. Or else writing scenes, those are always fun to film because I kind of get to write a little bit off camera too.
It's always fun to learn a skill like that for a show.
So it's so cool. It's amazing. I loved it. Yeah.
Did you have a favorite episode to shoot that wasn't a blooper situation, but just like you loved filming a specific episode for your character?
I couldn't say it on the top of my head. It'd probably be one of the first writing scenes that I had to do. I don't remember exactly which scene it was. I was writing the boogie. I don't remember which scene it was, but I was cleaning the horse, and the horses are so kind. They're crazy, and every time I would go back on set, they'd recognize me, and from the little stable part in the middle of Green Gables, they'd kind of run towards the fence towards me, and I'd get to pet them and feed them carrots and stuff in between scenes. I'd always go and say hi, since I'd always be the one to take care of them. So
I love horses. That's awesome.
It's amazing.
How about you, Dalila?
Well, I had one. I lost it. This is actually one of the very first like romantic scenes with PJ. It's the scene in 306 at the fair, after Jerry buys Diana the little poodle and he gives it to her, and they kiss. It doesn't look it, but it was raining hard that day, like torrential type rain. And I remember showing up on set and thinking, holy cow, how are we gonna film this? But hey, we did it. We made it work, and it was really funny because we had like one of the tarps over top of where we were supposed to be like walking and such. The rain would never hit us.
Oh gosh.
But yeah, you're just showing up on set, holding the umbrella, just the rain, like you can hear it so loud, like pattering against, and you're just standing there. It's cold, and you're like, oh my gosh. Yeah,
and you have to pretend it's like a warm, sunny day, and like totally lovely.
That actually reminds me of another moment. In season 1, Amy, Beth, and I were supposed to be running across this kind of field. It was episode 2. We were holding apples, and we were supposed to climb up on a fence. And the director had told us, because it was really, really cold, and the wind was hitting us hard, and it was glacial. And the director told us, like, I want you to get up on the fence and make it look as if a warm summer breeze is like passing by. And I was like, okay, all right, warm summer breeze, let's do this. So when I got up on the fence, I was kind of scared because the fence was very rickety, but I gripped it hard and I leant back and I was like, I hope the fence doesn't break as I'm doing this. They ended up using that shot, which I was really happy. But I just remember that day being really cold. Amy, Beth, and I's hands were bright red and our lips were almost blue, and we had to pretend it was a warm summer day. It was great.
I actually just thought of another one that happened. It was at the carnival game. I was when I was playing the hammer game. I actually broke the game during rehearsals. The box at the bottom broke because I missed the place where I was supposed to hit it, and I hit the side of the game, and it just broke. There was a hole through it, and every time we were actually filming it afterwards, we had to kind of fix it. Oops, sorry.
Props department were like super happy with you that day.
Yeah, no, they weren't. They weren't very happy. No,
but see, that stuff happens all the time. People who don't work in the industry don't know. They think it's all just like perfectly, everything's magically there, or like the weather is perfect, or and these kinds of things happen all the time. In almost every scene I've ever been in, there's been some sort of mishap like that. And you just got to keep going.
I remember a mishap that happened to me when I was on set. It was season 1. And it was the scene in which I was running to go and get Anne because Minnie May was choking and such. And I was running through the forest, and I had to be holding this lamp. And for the scene, I was supposed to like trip and fall and let Paul, I think you directed this episode.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And I was supposed to let the fall and let the lamp roll out of my hands. It kind of like in a certain way. Paul, you said like make sure that the lamp rolls in a way that like still lights up my face. And I was like, okay, gotta get this right. I go in and I fall, and as I'm falling, I hear this shattering noise, and I'm like, oh no. I get up and I keep going with the scene, but the lamp was shattered.
Oh.
and we only had one lamp. So we had to like angle the lamp in a certain way so that the camera wouldn't notice that part of it was just shattered.
Oh my God.
I felt really bad.
Oh, hopefully you got the shot, Paul, that you wanted.
Yeah, no, it's a great little sequence. The lantern light hits your face perfectly, Dalila. You held it just right.
I'm very glad it worked out.
Paul, same question to you. You don't get to not answer this question. Do you have a favorite episode that you directed, or a scene from an episode, or anything like that?
Just sort of riffing on this idea of sort of where circumstance, sort of unexpected circumstance, gives you something that you really were sort of happily. That was unexpected, but a happy accident. We had one day, we were shooting the episode, I guess, in season 3 with the Indigenous family whose daughter gets taken away to the residential school. But we were supposed to be shooting these sort of sunny scenes on the farm at Green Gables, and it just poured. And, you know, I feel like a traitor to the production to say that I really enjoyed, we had a good 45 minutes where we could do nothing, but it was Anne and Matthew and Marilla and myself and the crew just kind of sitting on the porch watching the rain clouds move by and the rain pouring down. And it was sort of one of the few times we actually got to sit and talk to each other because we're always moving so fast. It was just nice to sort of sit with Robert and Geraldine and Amy Beth and just shoot the breeze, you know, and watch the rain come down. It was really beautiful. And then as soon as the rain stopped, we had this one last scene we had to shoot where they all get into the wagon to ride off to the residential school to get their daughter back. And the sun was going down and we had scheduled about an hour and a half to do it. And we ended up shooting it in about 15 minutes, moving so fast. And I love the scene. It's quite beautiful. It just ended up, all our original shot list had to kind of get thrown out. And it's like, you go there, you jump in there, let's put the camera there. And we just kind of did it really fast and on the fly. And sometimes out of that necessity comes something really kind of pure, right? You're forced to pare everything down to the essentials. And, you know, as much as you don't like going into the situation that way, sometimes the best things come out of it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And being able to work with the elements like that and switch on a dime. And sometimes you throw out all the stuff that you've already like decided you want to do and it allows space for something so beautiful to arise in the moment, as you just said with that like carriage scene. So that's awesome. And also it sounds like it rains a lot in Canada, like maybe like all the time, which is probably why it's so beautiful, because there's so much water coming down for those gorgeous plants. But I feel like every time I hear a story from the set, it's like there was snow, there was rain, there was snow, there was rain.
The first few seasons, I think, and AJ and Dalila can attest, I think we were pretty much mostly winter shoots. And I think by the time the third season came, we were like determined to do a green. It's like let's switch things up so that we can actually shoot some spring and some summer and not be fall and winter the whole time. Because that first season we shot that scene of Gilbert's father's funeral out on the fields there, and yeah, I just remember my toes just kind of crystallizing in my boots.
So unfortunately, last time around, we learned that you guys, at least for now, do not have another season, and I think everyone was very upset and shocked by it. We've received so many messages about, and you guys have also attested to this, of like, bring it back, we want more of Anne with an E. How was that for you guys? I mean, it's never fun to hear your show isn't moving forward, and it sounds, just every time we talk to anyone from the show, it just sounds like it was such a beloved production to be on from everyone top to bottom. So, you know, what was that like hearing that? Or you know, it's never fun, but sometimes things need to end, I guess.
Yeah, you know, it was very sudden. I don't think none of us expected it. But you know, the way the third season ended was good. So there was not really any need to do a fourth season. And you know, it was pretty sad that there wasn't a fourth season, obviously. But you know, it's been 3 years and a little bit more that we've all been working together, and it's sad to like know that it's over, you know, after 3 years. But you know, hope we've all stayed in touch, or most of us, and yeah. Well, we all hope that we're gonna be able to see each other again soon. So because we all live in different parts of the world, you know, I mean, Beth being in Ireland and well, Dalila
right.
in LA and other people in Toronto, and I'm in Montreal. So
Yeah.
It was a bit of a shock, you know, when we kind of heard the news, like, oh, okay. It left. I feel like it left all of us feeling kind of unmoored because, you know, it was 3 seasons, you know, 3 exciting seasons, and that was it, you know. And you know, as is life, you gotta always keep moving forward and always looking at the horizon for something new. But yeah, it was a bit hard the first couple of days after we heard the news.
Yeah, no, it's always hard. It's always hard when you love something and it has to end. But it's great that you felt like it ended on a good note, right? For the series at least, which is nice. Because the worst thing is when you're on a show and they kind of ended abruptly and like the writers didn't have a chance to really like at least connect the world in a sense. So I think I'm gonna ask you one more last question before we open it up to your cajillion fans who have like lots of beautiful things to say. I don't know if you can see it in the box there, but. So you guys get your questions in. If you want to ask our beautiful guests here anything, don't forget to add stuff to the chat room because we do look through it and we do ask as many questions as we can. I'm pulling this out of nowhere, but I just thought of this. For you guys and your characters, if there was going to be more of a season, let's say you guys were going to get like 10 seasons, right? What would you want to see your character do? Like where would you like to see your character go? You know what I mean? Like what do they do in their adult lives as they're entering more of an adulthood?
you know, a lot of fans wish that, you know, Jerry and Diana wouldn't have ended how they ended, but at the same time, I find it, you know, Jerry was holding back Diana from so many possibilities, and it was just she was so much of another level, you know. Jerry was just holding her back. So I think that it's good for Diana that she took that decision, although it did obviously hurt Jerry's heart. Where would I see my character if there were more seasons? Well, I really wish that we could have also seen in further seasons, if there were further seasons, we could see more about Jerry's life as a French farmhand boy, and yeah, because he's still a mystery, right? So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how to answer that one.
No, that's good. I feel like we could explore more of that too. That would be awesome. How about you, Dalila?
But yeah, to kind of build off the thing that AJ said in relation to the relationship between Diana and Jerry, yeah, they ended on a very sad and almost like abrupt note of like, that's it, you know, we're done. And I would like to see them reconcile. I don't think Jerry was holding her back. But yeah, you played Jerry, so obviously, you know, you're speaking through. But as Diana, I feel like Diana was more afraid of what that meant, not only for both Diana and Jerry, but also for Diana as a person. And at that moment in time, she wasn't really ready to face it. And after the events that happened in 310 of her standing strong and going, no, I'm going to Queens, I feel that she would be in a better mind frame to at least go to Jerry and say, hey, you know, we didn't work out, but, you know, friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's something that if we continued with the seasons, that might be something that would occur, that maybe they wouldn't be together, but they would be on good terms with each other. And also broaching Diana's just whole search for individuality and for herself and career and education. I kind of always saw Diana as either wanting to be a musician or wanting to kind of try her hand at writing, maybe. You know, because to just explore more of that imagination area in life, because she never got to indulge that as a child.
Right.
To kind of break free from that and find more people who value who she is and who she wants to be, not just who they think she should be. And yeah, just sort of expanding on that over the course of the other seasons.
Yeah. Well, fingers crossed, you know, crazier things have happened. Maybe it's not the end. Maybe it's not the end.
Another thing that I would have wanted if there were more seasons, it would be that we always see Jerry being getting beat up, you know, not trying to be the hero, but never actually succeeding as being the hero. It would have been fun if, let's say, the bad guys would have came back, or another typical story of a fight scene that Jerry would have won and finally be able to say, you know, I got this. I found this stolen money or something, you know, to kind of give him a little bit of pride. And I think that would have been cool.
Yeah. You guys are amazing. It's really lovely to talk to you. It's obvious that you put so much thought into your characters. And Paul, you know, thank you for coming on also and being such a thoughtful director and like really being open to all the creativity and the flow of the moment. I'm gonna hand it over to your fans now. I think we have a lot of questions, so you know, probably people are sick of me asking them. So thank you guys again, and yeah, this has just been great. I'm gonna hand you back over to Ingrid.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you, Emma.
Thank you, Emma. Yeah, so many questions, of course. This was expected, which is great. And a lot of messages of love, sharing their love. They love you, love you, love you. So I have to convey that to you. Paul, we have a question for you. So the question comes from Mariana. She's asking, what sets this work apart from your previous experiences as a director?
Well, I mean, the great thing about directing television in particular is that every time out is a whole different, you know, it's a whole different ball game or a whole different sort of color palette to work with. You know, so let's say if it's Schitt's Creek, it's comedic, and you're working with sort of veteran comedy actors like Eugene Levy and Catherine O'Hara. But what I love about doing this show, I think I mentioned it earlier, I love doing period stuff. And anything that's sort of on location and involving, in this case, horses. I love doing any of the sort of things that involve sort of nature and landscape, and because it allows you sort of directorially to really sort of use those visual muscles, which is really great. But primarily with this show, I think it was the scripts and the characters. And just how from season to season it got richer, and there was just more to sink your teeth into as a director, more to I mean, the stories sort of both in terms of emotion and in the visual palette were just so rich.
There is a question about so that's probably for all of you. Sarah is asking, what is the most important storyline in the show in your opinion?
Well, in my opinion, any
I mean, I would say the one thing that's sort of you know, a through line.
Sorry.
On each other there. So go ahead.
No, it's okay. You go.
I was just going to say, I think one of the sort of the through lines through all the stories throughout the seasons is you know, is the story of tolerance and acceptance, right? Is loving your fellow human beings and learning acceptance and to understand them and to see them as who they are. I think that's a sort of a strong line throughout all of the stories.
Dalila?
Yeah, agreed. I was actually going to say exactly that. The whole storyline is about like the LGBTQ plus community, about fighting homophobia, fighting racism, about the indigenous people, all those storylines that spoke of sort of like advocating for us, for tolerance, and for us being humane and caring and loving for one another and accepting one another, and about following one's dreams and not allowing yourself to be stopped just because someone tells you no, for you to fight for what you believe in, fight for what you want. Those storylines that were prevalent throughout the entire show, that message. I find that was one of the most important things about the show, to drill that message in, follow your dreams, fight for what you believe in, fight for what you want, and no matter what, love one another, care for one another, and never give up. So.
I mean, even the storyline with you and AJ, which was very much about class, right? It's learning to see beyond the rift that people.
Also the gap and beyond your own prejudices due to your position in society. You know, there's more to that than just like, you know, you're here and I'm here. It's like, no, we can be one if you want to.
Right. And I really think that the show was great for showing so many topics that are an issue nowadays, still in 2020, such as racism, discrimination, and like Dalila said, the LGBTQ plus community. There's so many issues still in 2020 that it's great for a show to include most of those topics and more, and show that being different isn't a bad thing. Even if somebody says this isn't a normal thing or whatever, it doesn't mean that, you know, we're all humans, you know, at the end of the day. So yeah, I think that was a very powerful message from Anthony.
Paul, we have a very technical question that is, so in season 3, episode 7, I hope you remember, Anne says to Josie, "No one but you is allowed to dictate what you're worth." Josie actually nods in agreement. Was that a foreshadow of Josie's participation in the organized action? And the scene where Josie's mother put the hair curlers on her and Josie removing them, was that a foreshadow?
Oh, absolutely, right? I think in all of those, you know, little subtle moments, we're seeing the sort of the growth of Josie and her sort of, you know, putting the pieces together, learning that there's a different way of being, a different and a path forward. But yeah, good question. I think both of those are little little steps in her journey.
Mm-hmm. So there's another one for you, even though Amy Beth is not here today, but in a podcast, Amy Beth said that she generally didn't know what she was doing, yet she won the 2019 CSA Best Actress Award for the show. Amy Beth was brilliant in season 3, episode 7 and elsewhere. What was it like directing her? Did you get the same feeling that she didn't know what she was doing, or was that just humility on her part?
She absolutely knew what she was doing. I mean, I think maybe why she felt that is that she's a very intuitive actor, right? She works, she works from the gut, and so, you know, she's taking her cues from what the actor across from her, and then she kind of comes back with sort of an intuitive feeling, which might sometimes feel like she's, you know, walking on a tightrope without a net. But I think that's where a lot of great acting comes from, is that, and I would say the same of this entire cast. I think that was why it was such a pleasure to work with them, is that they also worked from a very genuine, gut-based place, and it probably, and I'm sure AJ and Dalila will say the same, it probably often feels like they don't know what they're doing, but it's quite the opposite. I think it's allowing them to be free to sort of really access what they're feeling in the moment, even if that's discomfort.
Sure.
Yeah, it's the sorry, the whole thing of combining that whole knowledge of like, okay, you know, you're standing on your mark, you gotta make sure you're in shot, you gotta make sure the lighting's right, that, you know, but it's also about doing all of that without compromising the creative integrity of your acting, of the scene, of your character. So yeah, sometimes you get into a scene and you're like, I don't know, you know, maybe this is wrong, but it feels right. You know, I feel like my character will react this way. I feel like this is how they would say that. And you just got to run with it and let it go. But yeah.
So talking about acting, we have a question that you can answer during the interview. What was it like doing the most emotional scenes, and do you have any techniques as an actor to be able to cry? That's a very regular recurring question that people ask to actors. And what is the favorite scene in the whole show? So,
Well, favorite emotional scene or favorite scene in general?
in general.
Ooh. That's tough. Well, I really liked filming the fight scene with Amy Beth in 307. That it was not only very emotional, but there were so many different layers to it. Like at the base layer, it's like they're disagreeing, you know. Anne's calling Diana a fake person. I don't know you, you know, who are you? And Diana's like, why don't you understand? You know, this is not me. But if you go deeper than that, it's kind of like each of their insecurities. And I'm going to talk more about Diana, obviously, because it was my character. But on Diana's side, she has all this pressure from her parents and from society. And as an actress, it's important to break down all those layers to be able to know, why are you sad? Why are you mad? Why are you happy? Why are you confused? And for Diana, it was more fear than anything else that was kind of driving her to lash out in those ways, to say the things that she said and to react the way that she did, because she was so scared of. I thought, you know, Diana thought Anne understood her, and here she was like, no, she doesn't. She just sees me like everyone else does. She just sees me as this rich girl who doesn't care about anyone. But I don't. That's not me. And that fear, that desperation to be known, and for Anne to know her, and for Anne to love her, and for her to love Anne the way that she wants and believes that Anne deserves to be loved. That fear of losing that is what really made that scene so emotional and powerful. I feel for both sides, because it really kind of boiled down to that fear of, I'm losing you, and I don't want to, but I don't know how to stop it, and I want you to stay. And that kind of that's why I loved filming that scene, because just being able to go in there and show all of those different layers, and being able to react off Amy Beth, to just feed off of one another, to build that into the powerful climax that it was. That was one of my most favorite scenes to film, and that's kind of also how I get into those more emotional ones. It's just break down the character, feel the character, embody the character. Why are they feeling this way, regardless of what emotion it is? And then when they say action, just become them. You now see life through their eyes. And so, yeah.
Is there any particular technique, a Meisner method, or is just intuitive, like Paul was saying earlier?
I typically will end up, I'll have like a little journal, and especially if it's an especially emotional scene, I'll write up the thought process of my character as the scene goes on. So then I may even reveal some new things to myself, because I'm writing them as, let's say, Diana in this case. And then as I'm writing, I'll realize like, oh my God, yes, this is another layer. And then I'll dive more into that until eventually I'm like, yes, this is how she is feeling. And then I just kind of, I don't know, I use that to then build off more instinctively and then improvise in the scene. I don't know. It's a whole process.
The whole process. What about you, AJ?
For me, you know, if you know that you're doing a crying scene during the day, I think really getting into that mood, that like depressive kind of mood vibe, you know, listening to sad music, there's things that bring you back, you know, sad memories, tough times, or even just, you know, a common trick is just thinking that one of your loved ones passed away. That for me always works to get the tears out, because sometimes you can feel the character, but the tears aren't always gonna be there. But the tear part for me, a trick is to think that one of my loved ones, AKA my mom, would be would be gone. So it's a tough one. It's a tough one to swallow.
A lot of people have been asking, have you read the actual book, Anne of Green and Gables, in which the show is about?
I have actually. I didn't read all of them. I read the first book. I read it before even season 1 started. I read it just to get more of a feel of, I knew what the storyline was, but at the same time, it was it's a common story here in Canada, but it's still a good refresher. So the book is very different than the movie, but I liked it. I liked it.
Yeah, that's what Mariana says. AJ, we know Jerry has a much smaller role in the book. So how much freedom did you have in the process of building and developing your character? Cheers from Brazil.
Right. He was, for me, it was tough at the beginning. I didn't have anything to work on. He had 2 lines in the book, so there wasn't really a previous character where I could be, okay, well, he's usually a happy guy. I really just went with what I thought that he could be like. I slowly went with it, and with notes from directors and Paul and more, I got to understand better him as a character. I like the way that it turned out.
A question for all of you now is, what do you think about the belief that Diana Barry is actually a lesbian? And for all of you?
I've personally always kind of seen Diana as, I don't know, because of her childhood, she was kind of raised with, like, the mentality of you do as you're told. You're gonna be a good wife, good mother. That's it. But then going to Aunt Josephine's party kind of opened up a new line of thinking for Diana, and I don't know, it was never really explored in the show, her sexuality, but it has already been established that she loves Anne very, very much. And whether or not that love or any other love that she may have can or has strayed towards the romantic side, again, hasn't really been explored. But hey, I'm all for it. If you see Diana's character and you either see yourself in her, or you see it as her as almost like internalized homophobia, and realizing that, you know what, there's more to love than she initially thought, by all means, go ahead. I think that's really beautiful.
Any thought on that, Paul or AJ?
Well, I think Dalila said it perfectly. We certainly see Diana have an awakening, and where that awakening takes her, she certainly has an understanding that she learns through her aunt, and where that would go for her is, I think, open to either audience interpretation or writer's interpretation, if it was to continue for further seasons.
For me, if she did turn out as that, that's all good for her. But obviously back then, if she did one day come out to her parents, like Dalila said, Diana's very, she was taught to be very, by the book. And back then it wasn't as common as it is today. And people today have more freedom, not fully though, which is still unfortunate. And it's problems that we're all facing. But back then it must have been really hard to know that you like a certain person and you can't really go for that dream. It must have been hard.
So we're almost out of time here, and as I said, that we have a little surprise, but I still want to ask you one question here from the chat box, is if you really could be your character for one day in the Anne with an E universe, how would you spend your day? And that comes from Eileen. Even Paul. I know you're not a character, but you like period pieces and How
That's a
would
good
you
question.
end it?
That's a good question. I don't know. I think I don't know what I'd do, to be honest, because now I don't know, because I really don't know. I guess the easiest thing to do would be rob Greed Gables. No, I'm kidding. No. No, I don't know what I'd do. um,
Oh my gosh.
And yeah, it is.
I think if I was in Diana's shoes for a day, I think I may try and use Diana's money and her influence in society to set up a lot of like sort of these programs to help people in poverty, to kind of stop that large divide that is in between each of the classes, to kind of help people with that power that she being a berry gives her, to put that money, that position to actual good use, instead of just being like, oh, hello, I am not that Diana is like that, but to make a difference, and to be to put money forward to help people. Like one of the things that always kind of bugged me as a person was the fact that, like, back then, and this is illustrated with Jerry, there were a lot of kids that didn't have education, which is ridiculous to me. So use that money, instead of you using the money to buy different plots of land to expand your empire. Use it to help people in need. Use it to help young kids, young people, anyone in general gain an education, become who they want to be, instead of you just sitting in your throne. No, use that money, use that power to better the lives of others. So yeah, I think that's what I would do as Diana.
That's powerful. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I would say directorially the same. I think, I was able to experience and witness these characters, move through those changes in their lives as they grew from sort of childhood to adolescence, and watch the lessons they learn. And I'd love to, I would love to see that sort of continue as they moved into adulthood and dealt with similar issues, but sort of from an adult perspective, and sort of the furtherance of the themes of, acceptance and tolerance and love for your fellow human beings.
Thank you, Paul. Actually, there's a lot of people also that have been asking, how can we follow Paul on social media? Is there anywhere where we can follow you and see your work? Continue.
I'm not right now, actually. Well, that's not true. I have a Facebook page, which I keep toying with getting rid of. But yeah, no, that's sort of that's the extent of it.
Okay, maybe one day your Twitter.
I want that idea.
Okay, so we have a few minutes left, and I'd like Dalila to share something with us now.
Okay, so I'm gonna sing songs for you guys. Okay, I'm gonna do a quick mic and guitar test, so bear with me, guys. All right. Hello, hello. Hello. I was like, I'm just.
Looks like it's working.
Hello. Hello, hello. 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 Oh. Hello. Hello.
I think it's working. I think so.
No, the mic isn't working correctly. We're experiencing some technical difficulties. I'm very sorry.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. I'll just keep going anyway.
It's okay.
I'll just keep going. Okay, so this first song is called Older by Sasha Sloan. Sorry.
Someone is in the room with you.
Yeah, it's my brother who is my sound engineer right now. Okay, so this song is called Older by Sasha Sloan.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Wow. So beautiful. Thank you. Oh my gosh. So I just opened the chat box. If you see it coming.
Thank you. Muito obrigada a todo mundo. Merci beaucoup. Muchas gracias. Oh my gosh.
Does anybody want another second performance by Dalila? Ooh, wow, we can't even read it because it goes too fast. Way too fast. All right. I guess I'll have to.
Oh my God, that's so
I have another one prepared if you guys want to hear it.
Yes, we'd love to.
All right. Okay, this one is called The Way I Am by Ingrid Michaelson. And you take me the way I am. You take me the way I am.
Beautiful. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Yeah, this was beautiful. This is all that we needed to start a great weekend. Very
yes.
soothing, very relaxing. We've come to the end of the show, but I want to thank you, all of you, for participating. I don't know if you want to say a last word. Paul, you want to go first?
No, just I'm quite overwhelmed by the number of people who have tuned in today. So it's just testament to the power of the show, and I'm pleased to have been a part of it.
Yeah, I mean, this show, what you did with the show is just really, truly amazing. So let's hope for some good news in the future. or at least, the very least, to see you all working together again.
That'd be great.
AJ?
Well, thanks for all the fans who tuned in. Yeah, I mean, it's great to see everybody, especially you, Paul.
Yeah, like
It's been a while. But no, it's very cool that we had this little talk. And yeah, thanks for everybody who tuned in. Yeah.
Dalila, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I also wanted to thank all the fans very much for tuning in. Muitas graças a todo mundo. Te amo. Muito obrigada a todo mundo. Eu amo vocês. Merci beaucoup tout le monde. Je vous aime. Yeah, I just wanted to remind you guys yet again, like the message from Anne, never stop chasing your dreams, never stop fighting for what you believe in, never stop fighting for what you want, and stay together. If we unite, anything is possible. The sky's the limits. Just remember to always be you and never, ever, ever give up.
Thank you. Emma, do you want to say a few words? And thank you again for leading this interview today.
Oh yeah. Well, no, you guys are all so wonderful. The show is just delightful. It warms my heart to scroll through all the fans and see all these beautiful young faces who just adore what you guys are doing and the messages that you're putting out there. Dalila, you have the voice of an angel. Thank you for giving us that beautiful performance. AJ, you're just so charming. I know that you don't do these kinds of things all the time, but I gotta say, total natural. And I can't wait to see what both of you guys do. And Paul, hopefully I get to work with you too one day. You're awesome. I love your work. Great. And just can't say enough. You guys have been great. And all the fans out there and everyone who tunes in every week, you guys are just, you're the reason why we do these kinds of things. So, yeah, thank you. And I just hope everyone has a great July, the rest of July.
Right. It's the beginning of July. Yeah, almost mid-July. Thank you again to your amazing guests, Paul Fox, AJ, and Dalila Bela. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us, be with your fans, be with the world, because it's really an international audience here. Thank you, Emma, for doing another episode of this Chelsea Film Festival Talks TV series that we just decided to offer during this pandemic. So it came after me watching in the shadows that series, actually the film. I saw the film, and because Emma was in The Walking Dead, and I don't know, I connected the two, and I know she's a great actor and a filmmaker now. So I thought she would be perfect for these discussions, and now this is our 9th episode already. So I appreciate your support in this, and for all the audience members, you've been amazing. I cannot say more. You've been so amazing these past few days and few months, and thank you for showing up. The replay will be available on our YouTube channel, so please look out for that. It will be available in the next few hours. And there are some social media links, if you can see them buried in all the love comments, but we'll post them again. So please follow Emma, AJ, Dalila, and maybe Paul one day in somewhere. But yeah, so follow them on social media, and much love to all of you. Have a beautiful weekend. I hope to see you again soon, not virtually, but physically. Hopefully one day we'll be in the same room, and hopefully I'll invite you to the Chelsea Film Festival also. Yes, let's do that. Let's all be in the same room. Emma, you're up for it to lead the discussions live now?
Oh my God, yeah, that's great. In person would be awesome.
Okay, thank you. So wish you all to stay very safe, because it's still out there, and be healthy, and please stay in touch. So love you all so much. Sending you a beautiful weekend and beautiful energy to you. Bye, everyone. And bye, all the fans.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
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 Bye, everyone. Bye, Dalila. Nice performance.
Bye, AJ. Thanks. Bye, Paul. Bye, Ingrid. Bye, Emma.
Bye, honey.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, bye, Ingrid.
Bye, AJ.
Bye, everyone. Love you guys.
Bye.